Welcome back to Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast. I'm on location. The sunglasses are not just for show. I have sunlight directly shining in my face. I'm in Rocamadour at the TT, and I got to keep the window open because it's about 1,000 degrees. So apologies if any helicopter noises, but maybe that's just the ambience you're missing. It's a bit sterile on the pod maybe sometimes. Thanks as always to Zwift for supporting the show. The reason I'm here talking over this helicopter is, and France TV, by the way, the helicopter didn't want to show any of the intermediates in this TT. So I don't know what this bloke's been doing the entire time because we didn't see any big guys intermediates. The reason I'm here and Benji's about to get on the train ASAP is because we're going to the Tour de France Flamme Zwift start tomorrow. The first stage, sprint stage, Viva's hot favourite, will be there at the Zwift booth on the Arc de Triomphe. We're G'd up. I can't wait, actually. I was like, when you get the end of Grand Tour blues and like we're both overworked, it's actually picked me up a little bit. Different riders, different racing. I'm excited. So thanks to Zwift for supporting the show, and make sure you support and watch the FAM starting tomorrow, 8-stage race. Check out the preview if you want to get up to date with that. But here we have Rocamadour. I drove up this morning. It got hotter throughout the day. I think Ghana had a slightly nicer conditions. It's a downhill TT on average to about 34 Ks, and then they do 2 climbs, 1,600 meters 5%, 1,800 meters 6.2% to Rocamadour, 430 meters climbing, probably be like a 50 to 51 k an hour average for the winner. We'd see how Jonas went. I picked Geraint Thomas without the earpiece, without the gilet. But yeah, Benji, I went. It's been pretty chill here, and to be honest, there wasn't actually that much There wasn't that much tension in this TT, was there? Ghana went early, then everyone had a nap, and it's like, will Wout win or will someone else win? Because all the GC podium positions were absolutely in lockstep.
Exactly. We had Ghana that went early. That first time was set, the first proper time after a few other riders like Michael Bjerg and so forth. But it really came down to the second half of this time trial where, first of all, Wout van Aert went, but still significantly before we got to the actual TTGC riders. So Wout van Aert was able to set a damn good solid time, beating Ghana at literally every time check. I was thinking that Ghana set an initial he usually negative splits, and I thought perhaps in the second half, Wout van Aert might have a hard of the time expanding his time on Ghana, which happened at the third time check, but in general, Wout van Aert just blew away Ghana by 42 seconds in this time trial, and then the GC riders came, and it was not done. It was not done at all. So close.
It was like, I don't know, Ghana said before the TT, Benji, did you believe him? He said, I have no belief I can win this TT. I think Wout's going to clean it. I didn't know whether he was bluffing or not because he has looked pretty tired. But then if you were Ghana, would you have got in the break yesterday? Absolutely not, right? You've got the TT today. I couldn't really tell. But anyway, here's the top 10. You know how we do it. Wout van Aert wins ahead of Jonas Vingegaard. We'll discuss. Do you reckon Jonas gave it to him, Benji? Because I had Danish people telling me Jonas just flicked the earpiece out. Jonas was full sending all the corners. He nearly crashed. There's a row that comes into before they climb up to Hospitalet, and Jonas has taken it too wide, nearly gone. I was like, I don't even care at this point. I was like, Jonas, just stop. He's full sending it. Do you think the crash scared him? Do you think they told him give it to Wout? Or do you think he went out too hard? I don't think this was a gift. I think he ran out of steam / the crash unnerved him.
I think it's a combination of those two indeed. I don't think he gifted it. I think he came to the conclusion that he didn't necessarily need to go all out after that crash nerved him, or that near crash in the descent. He almost hit the wall there, the rock wall on the side. It scares a rider when that happens for a second. It startles you when you're like, okay, I need to secure the yellow jersey first. Wout van Aert is already in the position to win this time trial, so we're safe on both ends. There's no need to risk my life here to get that victory. And I think that's mostly the part there, but also the last climb was 24k an hour instead of the 30 that I saw Van Aert go on that same section. So perhaps there was also some okay, I might have bottled it in that descent anyway. I'm not feeling that amazing anyway for the last climb. A combination of everything there, I would say, when it comes to Vingegaard, but also a great time trial, to be honest. Yeah,
Wout wins
you're
that.
right.
Sorry, Danny Martinez, but Wout wins that if the plan wasn't Jonas full send. Um, so yeah, I think there's a bit of give and take. I don't know, but I think it would have been close. But yeah, Jonas second. He beats Pogacar by 8 seconds while sitting it up sort of over the line. Geraint Thomas fourth. I picked him for the win, but he was 32 seconds behind Wout van Aert. Still a great TT, it must be said. 5 seconds after Pogacar. Ghana in fifth on 48.41. I think their averages are all over 50. Yes, Ghana's the last one over 50. Then Mollema, another great TT in the Dutch national champs jersey in sixth. Then Catania. Fred Wright on the Bahrain setup, eighth. That's an incredible TT from him. Schachman ninth, Tratnik 10th, Kung 11th. So I think his legs were shot. There's a lot of transfer rumors about Stefan Kung, and the money being broached is pretty big money. So, yeah. Anyway, let me look at the. But I should give congrats to Wout van Aert. Benji, he's obviously recovered. He did this last year, won again. 3 stages in a row for Jumbo Visma. They'll be going for 4 tomorrow. The 1-2 with Vingegaard. Just a clinical performance, I guess. And maybe Ghana. I still think Ghana was. This isn't peak Ghana, by the way. I still
Yeah.
think Ghana was a bit off.
I think so as well, but I also think this is not the ideal Ghana time trial. Those climbs at the end, those are not the climbs on which Ghana should be able to ride the same speeds as a Wout van Aert or a Vingegaard or a Pogacar even. So I would have expected this time trial to have that part at least not benefit Ghana over the others, but you're right, in the first 70% of this time trial, Ghana should be able to go relatively even with Wout van Aert. We saw it at the World Championships, we saw it at literally most of the time trials that they compete against each other, that it's really close. I think Ghana's slightly off here.
I think so, but still on this sort of course, I still think Wout beats him. In terms of GC, though, the expected changes happened, except I think Menkes had a shocker. So Vlasov moves into fifth from seventh on 16:37. Vingegaard, Pogacar, Thomas, Gaudu 1 through 4 remain unchanged. But yeah, Vlasov 7th to 5th with not even his best TT, frankly, just an okay TT. But Nairo struggled as expected, but was fine. Like that was always going to happen. He goes from 5th to 6th. I still think that's a good result for Quintana. Bardet does an okay, but still not a great TT into 7th. And Menkes loses out on 7th by 10 seconds. And he, I think, lost like 4 minutes or something. 5:48, Benji. Wow.
Oof.
He lost 5:48 and lost out on a GC spot by 10 seconds. So that's a really bad TT, but I guess he did well in the other aspects of the Tour de France, and the top 10 is still a big overperformance, I think, for Menkes and Intermarché. So, yeah, decent TT, very picturesque. Wout van Aert wins. Um, did you expect more from Pogacar, Benji? Because, like, he would have been expected to beat Jonas Vingegaard in this TT, or is that just Vingegaard maybe doing too much in the technical start downhill to this? Because that's what I think.
I think it's I might agree there, but is it also perhaps the technical equipment changes that Vingegaard went through compared to last year? Last year he didn't have TT extensions, the custom ones built for him. He didn't have the TT preparation built for him yet compared to this year in the tour when he was fully working for that Tour de France. Like, I think that might give a bit of a difference compared to last year, for example. But I agree that those technical parts might certainly help Vingegaard here. We've seen certainly in the descents this week that Vingegaard is very good when it comes to technical cornering and so forth. So you might be onto something there that those are the changes. But I think in general, Pogacar, is it simply because Pogacar, I don't know, is Pogacar on the level that he was last year? Do we consider that?
Yes, maybe. Well, maybe just different. I think
Mm-hmm.
last year, yes. 2020, not sure. Um, his sprint to me is crazy good. And
Insane.
I don't know if he did more. I'm not his trainer. If he did more sprint training because he's focusing on want to win Tour of Flanders, Milano San Remo. I don't know.
Wollongong.
Yeah, true. Like for Wollongong, he can win a group sprint with almost anybody. Like who who would line up in a group of 6 guys and you'd say Pogacar has zero chance of winning this if it's like an actual reduced group sprint after hills, like in his current
Mark
sprint form.
Cavendish.
Yeah, obviously, but probably Britain won't even take him. So, it is what it is. Like again, Cavendish. If you saw the English or British national champs, you know what he could have done today. But yeah, Pogacar sprint unreal. Long climbing, is it worse in 2020? Maybe. Although in 2020, did he have to do the same sort of constant anaerobic attacking bursts? No, because in 2020 he was following more. So if before Col de la Loze in 2020, Pogacar had to attack on the climb where Bahrain steady paced, if he had to attack 8 times, I'm sure his Col de la Loze effort would have been affected, but he didn't because it was more of a defensive. Then he won the TT. This Tour de France, I thought his performance on what was the most recent climb, Altacam stage, was really, really, really good. Like really good. He was just too far
Yeah.
back, and that really cost him because of the Grenoble. He just lost so much time there. So I don't know. I definitely think the heat played a big, big role in this Tour de France, Benji. Really big. This was a hot Tour de France almost all throughout, except for Denmark. The TT there was rainy, but I think the heat affected the UAE riders relatively more than the Jumbo riders.
Is that a matter of preparation or fueling then? Because
Yeah, I
we
think
see, for
so.
example, before the stages, they've got like cold ice vests on and so forth. And every single team has that. Is there a difference in quality between the two? Is there a
Does
difference in
UAE?
how many? What, sorry? UAE has. I think I saw one on Pogacar on one of the stages at least.
I never see him cooling
So
down with it though.
no clue. No clue.
Mm, I don't. I think the edge is maybe slightly to Jumbo Visma in that sort of thing. Like I just remember a couple of stages. Maybe Pogacar wore it the other times. Maybe he doesn't like it. I don't know. But like there's one stage where Wout and Jonas were wearing the ice vest afterwards to get their core body temperature down as quickly as possible, and UAE weren't. Ineos always have them. Yates in the ice bath. So yeah, I'm just speculating. I'm not a performance coach, but I think the heat helped Jumbo Visma more, particularly as their riders. Let's be honest, Jonas and Roglic are not good in cold and wet conditions. There's two men who thrive really well in that. Notably, is Carapaz and more particularly Pogacar. Pogacar in cold and wet. Like I still think, even if he had lost that 3 minutes on Grenoble, if the Périgord stage had been 10 degrees rainy, all bets are off. Like
Yeah.
him, Jonas or Roglic, if he was there, could have a terrible day there. So he just got a bit unlucky with the weather, but he got lucky with the weather last year. So it swings and roundabouts. What do you think? I think he's just as strong, but some things have gone up, some things have gone down.
I agree in that sense. The sprint has gone up. The climbing, I would have to see the proper numbers and so forth. But we also, like you say, don't know the exact effect of the weather, of the altitude on Grenoble, for example, that type of stuff. Does that make him crack instead of just the holding on factor? What does he do if he doesn't go all out trying to follow Jonas on Grenoble and sets his own tempo for the final few kilometers? Does he lose 2 minutes plus there? Like, all these kind of questions is difficult to know, and people would have to go hardcore on analysis when it comes to those stages to figure out the details. I'm afraid I don't know that yet at this point.
Anyway, that's the Tour de France GC over. Just to remind you, Jonas Vingegaard wins subject to Pogacar attacking on Champs-Élysées, which go for it, Pogacar. If when they're clinking the champagne glasses together, attack. Just keep him on his toes one last time. But Vingegaard wins for now, 3:34 ahead of Pogacar. Thomas a valiant third. I think, yes, he's 8:13 back, but this is a really good performance from Thomas in third. Godou fourth on 13:56. Huge gaps here. Vlasov fifth on 16:37. Quintana sixth, 17:24. Bardet seventh, 19:02. Menkes eighth, 19:12. Lushenko ninth on 23:47. Yates 10th, 25:43. Those gaps, just unbelievably big gaps. Like, I feel, Benji, like we didn't see third to 10th. No, sorry, the 4th to 10th battle almost at all. Like Godou, it's a good result. It's better than I thought he'd get, but we barely saw those guys on TV, except Menkes, because he was kind of getting up the road in the third week.
Yeah, but I feel like we missed a lot in this Tour de France. Like on the climbs, I agree with you. Already on the climbs, we didn't see that 12 to 10 battle that much because the eyes were always on Vingegaard versus Pogacar, and there were so many situations where riders were up the road in those stages that both had to be on the screen and so forth. Then next to that, we also had the eyes on Pinot, for example, on the Jungle stage the entire way through. But when it comes to today's time trial, I find the coverage pretty horrible towards the end of this time trial. Like I swear, of like the first and second time check of the GC riders, I had to find out by the commentator reading Radio Tour instead of the riders actually crossing the time check lines. Did you feel the same, or?
Yeah, and I don't. Do you trust the rolling ticker? I don't trust it. You know, the one that,
Hmm?
like, when they're rolling along, they're not going through an intermediate as -8. I'm like, I don't know about that. I'd like to see the actual intermediate time at the official timing, please. So yeah, that was a disappointment. But to be honest, I was in a bit of holiday siesta mode today. So after Gannis TT, I was having a bit of a nap, and then I woke up when Jonas and Pogacar and Thomas kicked off. So I did see the middle of Wout, and he was sending it and looking good. But yeah, I agree, Benji. I do think the general camera work has been not as bad as the Giro
Hmm.
this Tour de France, but I think that's because the break got killed in a lot of the stages. And I think if there had been a break winning, we would have still seen cameras on the seventh rider. What was the Padamorja or Mejev? Where the break Jungles one, or the 10th one where Court won?
Pas de manger.
One of those two. Yeah. Where Pogacar got his team to send it, we didn't see anything because we were seeing seventh guy cross the line. That didn't happen very often. I think because the break got destroyed by the GC group
Yeah.
in all the mountain stages. But anyway, I think we'll give all our and our sort of declarations on this Tour de France, etc., at the end of in the Tour de France stage recap. Congratulations to Jumbo Visma. They got green, they got yellow, 6 stages, the 1-2 today, and 1 stage left tomorrow. We have a little bit of an announcement as well, and I guess an explanation as well. So since February this year, Benji and I have been working closely with Jumbo Visma, actually providing consultancy services with in relation to race strategy, video analysis, and data. I've been supported by Carlos Oswald and Gabriel Strozik with some of the data stuff. They're a bit more into it than me. And so, yeah, we'd like to congratulate the team and staff at Jumbo Visma for that. Thanks to Moraine, Grisha, and Matthew for working with us. The opportunity, absolutely fantastic opportunity. And I guess why we're announcing it now. And first of all, it's because we pretty much remain entirely 100% unfiltered on the podcast. And so the Tour de France preview you got was our real Tour de France unfiltered preview. And we think and thought, and I still think that is the case, that would have been impossible to do if we had announced this before the Tour de France. And it's a clause in the contract with Jumbo Visma that we retain 100% objectivity over the podcast, whatever Benji does on his personal social media channels, what I do on Lanterne Rouge main YouTube channel. We retain 100% right to criticize objectivity. And if you follow along with the podcast and the Tour de France, I think you can figure out some stages where maybe I did disagree with a few things. Wouldn't be hard to find. So that's, I guess, why we didn't announce it before. We're announcing it now. We were always going to announce it now, win or lose, just because it's actually been a very difficult balancing act not announcing it, and also feels, I don't know, we just wanted to let the listeners know. But I'll throw it to Benji as well for his thoughts.
Yeah, quite certainly. It's been an experience where we get to learn more when it comes to the inside of the sport, and therefore we can better our analysis on the podcast as well. But like you said, objectivity was the clause that had to be in the contract. Otherwise, there's no way I would have done it. For example, because we obviously want to not hinder anything the podcast usually does. But yeah, in general, it's been a good experience. It's learning a lot when it comes to the details that you'd not see if you watch the sport from externally, I would dare to say. Do you agree on that?
Of course, and that was a big draw card because obviously when it the proposal first came across, we were like, okay, this is potentially a difficult balancing act, and it is, of course. But then the flip side of that was, okay, will it make the podcast better long term or whatever else we do, if we're able to work with one of the best teams in the world, get insights into how they work, how they prepare for stages, data, you name it, etc. Obviously, like, all data you hear is data that Nightchaka or Amity or Mihai, but mainly Nightchaka, 99% of it, or Oslo on Cycling Graphs have calculated separately. Has nothing. It's not like fed in from Jumbo Visma. Obviously, all the information that comes from them has to remain confidential. But still, being able to learn from someone like Moraine, Grisha, and Matthew definitely makes the podcast better. I think long term, just because, sometimes we have been probably armchair pundits, Benji. Sometimes we probably have been a little bit of the meme, particularly me, like, why didn't you attack? And, when you actually speak to people in the sport, and I'm definitely a bit of an outsider, then sometimes I still think I'm right on that, but sometimes they're like, no, there's X, Y, Z reason which you don't understand because you're not actually physically present why that didn't happen. So it's that sort of stuff that's been really good, and I think will help long term. Whether we continue it in the future, obviously it's for the remainder of the year, the contract. So that's continuing for the remainder of the year. Whether it continues in the future, maybe, hopefully. It's been a really good experience. To think that we've maybe 0.1% helped in a Tour de France victory is quite rewarding, for me personally at least. So hopefully we did. Maybe we didn't. Maybe we just...
Why did we do it? Porgy was my pick. Why?
Yeah, Roglic is my pick. That was true. Roglic was my pick. And Roglic was my pick anyway. I was going to triple down. I'm still going to pick Roglic next year. I'll let you know. I don't even care if he doesn't line up. I'm picking Roglic for the Tour de France next year.
I'm picking Porgy.
Yeah, well, there you go. So Benji truly isn't biased. But yeah, we just wanted to announce it. Let us know what you think. But yeah, as I said, we're consultants, not employees. So we're trying to remain as objective as possible on the podcast. But yeah, let us know. It's been a great Tour de France so far. Benji and I are meeting up in Paris, maybe for a bit of a celebration after the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift. First stage tomorrow and the sprint stage. Which we haven't picked a winner for yet, Benji.
Oh, God.
Philipsen.
God damn it.
You tweeted it yesterday. Benji tweeted yesterday. I stole it.
Philipsen was going to be my pick because the entirety of Belgium wants Wout van Aert to win in the green jersey.
Why?
But Philipsen. Give it to Philipsen. Then he can prove that he's the top sprinter that he's already proven he is. Like, he was one of the fastest sprinters the entire Tour de France. Jacobsen's the rider that I see competing with him. Groenewegen on paper as well.
Fabio looks tired.
Those three are the names. He looks tired, Jacobsen, you're right. But I'm going with Philipsen for the reason that I do think that positioning is important. But I think the maneuvering through positioning is something Philipsen's good at. And we didn't see it in week 1, but we're going to see it on the Champs-Élysées. Philipsen destroys everybody on the Champs-Élysées by 70 meters, at least.
I think we'll see tomorrow if Groenewegen, by 70 meters. See how fast 70 meters is? I don't think so. Not that idiot, man. Jesus, this is a serious podcast. But yeah, I think Philipsen wins. I think we will see... I think Jacobsen and Groenewegen should beat Wout. Although Laporte, he has the best lead-out man. There's no Mercu, no Ricard. Beck's lead-out bit iffy. I think Laporte might really be the trump card for Wout, but I just think Philipsen's quicker. Anyway, that was the podcast. Bardet.
Are they going to try and... are they... Not Bardet. Are they, as in Jumbo, going to try and look at the Tour de France so far? They won with Wout, they won with Vingegaard, and they won with Laporte. On stage 19. Will they try and win with Sepkus on that tiny uphill section of the tunnel or something? We never know.
You gotta let Sepp. You got to free Sepp. We've been saying it for years. Free Sepp, and no better chance than tomorrow. Yeah, let Sepp go for the sprint. I think, or at least getting the break with like Brent Van Moer and Bissiger or whoever, Jonas Ruch. Wait for that break. Sepp get in it. Okay, that's all from us. I'm gonna have a nap. It's pretty hot, and we'll see you with the recap of Tour de France Femme avec Zwift first, and then the last stage of the men's tour tomorrow. Ciao.